So this is our download hub for all of our utilities. As you might have already tried, Worker Hub is present here. Here I am showing it on a Windows system. So I'll be downloading an image. As you can see here, it is getting downloaded. So it is complete. So I'll launch it. So it is, currently it is not signed yet. We are in the process of signing the application. For that, you need to click this more info in order to force run it. So once you click it, it says run anywhere. Select that option. And it will install and, it will show that it's being installed. So this is the first page the application shows. So let me switch to application alone so that it can be seen more clearly. Okay. So here it has three options where you'll be creating a worker account, basically creating your console account itself for VideoCoin console, then create a worker and get the client ID. That is the very first screen. Actually, I should have kept desktop sharing so that you can see the launching of. Give me a second. So when I click create account, basically, let me. So it is, since I'm already using my account here, it is basically creating it. So when you launch that, you'll come to this initial screen. If you are creating a new account, you'll be creating an account. Since I already have an account, I can as well enter it. So as the people know, the next step is even for the command application worker staking, you need to create your own worker. So I'm creating a new worker. So I name it as Polaris. So I need to fill all this information, and you can allow third-party delegations or not, which people, many of you maybe already have experience with that. So timing, I leave it blank and say save changes. Now, okay. So this is my worker. So basically, this is my client ID, which is supposed to be confidential, but here, just for the purpose of demoing, I'm disclosing it. Once you finish that, you'll be going back to the application. Then, so basically, I finished all these three steps: creating an account, create a worker, and get its client ID. So I can say continue, and I can paste that client ID there. Here we put a lot of checks. For some reason, while cut and paste, the client ID is not correct. So it will, this continue button gets disabled until you put a valid client ID there. It won't allow you to go further and crash the system or whatever it is. So there is a kind of protection at each and every level. So once you continue, this step also many of you may be knowing, creating a Infura ID, basically going to Infura and creating a project and obtaining a key. To make the flow simple, I'll use an existing key, but as the people know, so when you want to create an account, you have to set up your own credentials and obtain the key from the Infura. This key is used to access the mainnet. So again, let me switch back to full application mode real quick. Okay, so last site and obtain the ID, and then I can paste the ID here. Like client ID, these also have protection if you don't put the validation check. So once you come here, currently you have both the keys, one to interact with the Ethereum mainnet that is set up, and your client ID is also available. Now, most of the people had an issue creating a worker key or using an existing key. So that is where this setup wallet option will be very helpful. So once I say set up the wallet, it gives me two options. Either use an existing wallet, which many people don't want to do that. Create a separate wallet for worker and use it. That's what. So I'll try to demo this flow. So once I want to create a new wallet key, I can select that and continue. So here many people had an issue. There are no good tools to create wallet keys, and some tools which have good protection doesn't allow you to export it. So here this flow should simplify creating your own wallet key. Once I create it, so it will ask you to where you want to save it, and let me save it in one of my projects. So I can save the key. So once I save it, here you can see all the balance are 0 because it is a kind of new key, and its worker address is shown. This is the flow we want to show. So to protect worker as well as not de-link other wallet accounts, just you can take this address and get it funded through your other hardware wallets, or the flow you are going to show you is I'm going to pass this key, whatever I copied, to Deva. So Deva will transfer tokens and some Ether to that. You want to show that flow so that you know how to operate it safely. So any questions so far? Sorry, people. So I'll wait Deva to, I passed the key to Deva. So Deva is going to fund it. The worker hub will reflect all the balances, as it continuously monitors its balance on Ethereum mainnet, as well as it continuously polls its account on the VideoCoin blockchain. And as well as for the stake, it will look at the Ethereum mainnet VideoCoin escrows. So basically it will be talking to 3 different remote entities. One is Ethereum mainnet for its balance itself, and VideoCoin network for its staked amount, as well as ERC20 balance on VideoCoin smart contract. So it continuously monitors them, and just give me a second.
Yeah, because this is the real-time demo, we've built a lot of these wallet functionalities that work in the backend. And as you guys know, the Ethereum network itself is going through so much of traffic problems. No amount of gas you spend on that network seems to be enough these days. So I just now set like pretty high gas price, 120 ether on this, 120 GWay on this, and then it's still taking quite some time to mine, and it's saying it's going to mine in
between 6 to 11 minutes.
We can keep talking while this thing mines, I guess.
So Deva, that kind of begs the question. It's a little off topic, but while we wait, is there any long-term plan for the project to, kind of divorce itself from the constraints of the Ethereum mainnet?
Yeah, so like we've discussed this in the past. It wasn't such a big problem until this whole DeFi thing took off, right? Like we always, good, it mined.
The only tokens,
The irony.
Ethereum balance is not transferred yet, only partly. So basically, from your other wallet accounts, for this new wallet account, you'll be transferring tokens and Ethereum.
Yeah.
You received the tokens, not the Ethereum balance yet.
Yeah, I'm going to send the Ether now.
You didn't send it earlier. Okay.
Not yet. So I think to answer Santiago's question, right? So when we built this thing, we had one thing in mind, right? Like we wanted to make this whole thing as simple as possible. When we were building Everest, right? Like we just wanted to avoid the whole forcing people to convert and all of that stuff. So we built the bridge thinking it's the best user experience out there. And we wanted to make things really simple for people who already have these tokens on the Ethereum mainnet. So we didn't want to force them to come and convert into with native and do all of that. But as of now, the way things stand, right? Like things have gone south, super south for the Ethereum network, especially for projects like ours, where spending $10-15 per transaction seems pretty absurd. So let me just make this Ether transaction and then I will continue talking. Okay. So yeah, I think we definitely have it on our roadmap. The good thing for us is, we have our own blockchain, which is fully native and built. So all our operations actually happen on a native blockchain. Everything that you see is actually a bridge transaction, and the post bridge is when things function on our blockchain. So we have the underlying infrastructure that we would need to do the switch. But I think because of the amount of tooling that already exists around our bridge ecosystem, right? We have our staking app completely built. We have our worker hub completely built. We have our console product completely built around the bridge ecosystem, because the console itself also uses the bridge heavily and it abstracts out the bridge for you guys to make things simple. I think at this point, since we're so heavily invested in this ecosystem, it's not like ripping the Band-Aid off and getting off of the Ethereum main network. We really wish it was that simple, but it's not. So I think in the long run, I agree with you guys, and we will get off Ethereum mainnet so that we can avoid all of these complex stuff that we're facing.
Unless, of course, they fix their staking problems or their scaling problem.
Or they launch ETH 2.0 and then that will hopefully fix a whole bunch of. Yeah, I mean, it's right now I just again set 120 GWay, and this is just a standard ETH transaction.
That is just on the board, I believe. So it was kind of crawling up. Now
yeah, it's crawling up now. Let me send from another account with a higher gas price. All right, save.
Yeah, I mean, the big issue is whether you want to have autonomy in your own operations, versus being dependent on another network or another group of outside actors that you don't have any control of. That's the basic question.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, like I said, this wasn't such a big deal when we built out all the way up till Everest, right? Like we could do both the ether price was pretty low, and also like the gas price was also really reasonable. I think it's only now things have gone south for them.
So, repeating this process for each worker, if you had, say, 100 workers, you'd anticipate to, it would be multiplicative, right? In other words, each Ethereum fee for both the VID, ERC20, and the Ether transfers would be, that whatever that gas is at the moment, right?
Yeah. Or what you could do is you could write a smart contract that does, with one transaction, you could fund a whole bunch of VID transactions.
Okay. Both the transactions. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. So as you see on the screen, right, like the amounts are updated. Yeah. Go on, Deva. Sorry.
No problem, Ram. So what was I saying? I forgot.
Related to gas prices.
Yeah. So right, if you're setting up hundreds of workers, or the easiest way is to use a smart contract, and in that smart contract you can fund your 100 workers or so in one shot using. So I think we have a version of that smart contract. I can see if we can make that open source. I'll go look up our GitHub, and then we'll see if we can make that open for you guys. But it's a very simple one, right? Like it's a 5-line Solidity code where it's just basically a mapping between you can just do multiple transactions in one transaction. That's all. Again, these are all workarounds, and I think I cannot stress this hard enough. How this whole I think Ethereum has their work cut out for them to fix their own network, right? Like this is not sustainable. If this continues for a long time, this problem is not only for us, right? Like for all other apps. Imagine you want to trade some ERC721 and you're supposed to pay $20 for the transaction. Nobody's going to do that, right? So I think overall, that doesn't mean that we will just accept reality as is. But I think we're just all caught in a situation where this only started from the past 3 months, right? Because until then, things were like reasonably okay for us to play with. In the past 3 months, gas prices have shot up all the way to 275 GY and whatnot. So let's see how this continues. In the meantime, we will make our own development plans and efforts to decouple ourselves from the madness that's going on here, and hopefully, but that's on our roadmap. But it's disappointing because we've invested so much time and energy into making things simple for the Ethereum mainnet. All right, Ram, you can go ahead.
Okay. So as you see on the application, on the leftmost, there are 3 tabs, basically a worker and staking and settings. Settings is what we entered as part of client ID and Infura project ID. If you can make them view if you want. So that is for the settings, and you can change it and save it. If you are remapping your client ID with a different worker. Now I'll go ahead with the staking operation. So earlier with the command line, we do have these as separate commands. Now everything is integrated under UI. The details is supposed to show a kind of history here, what we are doing. So I'll go ahead and do staking. I can go ahead with this 50,000 minimum staking, or I can even, if you want to be cautious and see whether it is going through. And if it is okay to burn couple of dollars for the transaction, you can do that. So I'll try to stake 100 tokens to start with. But you can put 50,000 straight away, just to show the flow. So in your initial staking, basically it's a 3-step process. So you'll be moving tokens from Ethereum mainnet to VideoCoin, and as well as you are registering your worker with the VideoCoin blockchain. That is what this transcoder registration is. Then those 100 100 bits will be self-delegated. So if you go and look at the Explorer, you'll be having, so since all three turned into a kind of green, that means these transactions, all the three steps are complete. And remember, these are, each one is communicating with a different remote module. So as part of depositing, it is moving tokens from your account in the VideoCoin smart contract on the mainnet to VideoCoin blockchain, and it is calling a staking smart contracts registration process, and then followed by a self-delegation. So this middle step happens only in the very first staking. So this is where many people kind of saw errors, due to timeouts on the Ethereum mainnet and things like that. Here you try to kind of stabilize it by waiting properly for all those transactions. So when you come back, you can see that in your history. And if you want, you can so there is a little bit of refresh problem here. It's supposed to refresh automatically. If it is not, you may have to go between tabs. So your 100 bits are in your stake. But if you see, there is a difference of 5 bit, which is kept as a kind of VideoCoin blockchain's gas fees. It is reserved for your account. As and when you do further operations, it subtracts from that 5 bit reserve. So initially, you see a difference of 5 bit between your stake and what you have in the balance. So if you want to withdraw that immediately, you can basically unstake followed by withdraw. After unstaking, once in this case, there won't be any wait period since it is not bonded. If it is bonded, then you'll be waiting for about 21 days, which many of you already tried. So I'll go ahead and stake remaining amount to make it bonded. So I don't need to do 50,000, but minus, but anyway, I'll go and stake 50,000. So here, now you see only 2 steps because the registration is already done. Now it will transfer tokens from mainnet to through escrow to VideoCoin, and then it will perform self-delegation of those tokens. So this step, once this step is over, so all your tokens are reflected here. This is one issue many people see, where these tokens are. Now everything is visible. So because there is a little bit of delay in the very beginning, so it is trying to bond. Basically, you have an initial wait period of around 5 minutes, I believe. So you need to wait for 5 minutes before you can start your worker.
Yeah, so that is a protocol. It actually happens because we have if you guys remember, we had a 10-day bonding period when we launched. Before we launched, and then we updated it to a 5-minute bonding period. So this is actually a real bonding period that the worker is waiting on. I can answer, Ram can answer any questions that you guys have while we're waiting for the bonding to happen.
I have 2 questions. The first is there any plans to change the unbonding period? The 21 days for worker self-stake. That's question number 1. And then question number 2 is, every time you bond and unbond, is there a VideoCoin network fee, a vid fee?
Yes, there is a native vid that you would consume, but it's like super small amount. It's like, it's gas amount. Should be in the order of 3 decimal points or 4 decimal points worth of vid. And then the 21-day unbonding period. I think our question that we're trying to answer is, if you can, so it opens up an attack vector if you have the unbonding period too short. So people can bond, do some funny stuff, unbond, and by the time we can react to the misbehavior on the network, they would have gone. They would have been gone with the tokens. So while we can definitely look at reducing the unbonding period. I think, but there will be at least a few days of unbonding. But we'll get back to you and see what. I think our goal was to empirically establish it as we get more and more workers, see what the right amount of unbonding should be. But yeah, something to consider for us.
I'm sorry, I just have one last question. If we already have a worker that we set up through the manual process and we initiate this software, can we manage the worker going forward with this software?
Yes, I'll show you that also. I can, with that existing worker flow, you can pull in existing worker and use the application. Okay, so it is ready to start. This is another level of integration where it integrates with Docker system at the back, basically Docker desktop. So it also allows you to. So once it is bonded, it says ready to start. Basically, worker is bonded. Depending upon how many cores you have on your system, you can allocate part of your system for working. Then the start worker basically will launch the worker. So this operation was done as a distinct step in earlier command line based approach because they are the two separate binaries. Even now, you can do up to this and take this client ID and Ethereum key and launch the worker the same way you were doing earlier using command line, or you can launch it from here also. So once you launch it, it tries to show the output log from the Docker container.
Now maybe you can show the Explorer until this thing show. I think there's no log event.
Oh, yeah, Explorer. Okay.
Yeah, just show the Explorer.
So let me switch my sharing mode to full screen.
Assuming it's automatically sensing how many cores are available for each worker, because obviously workers can have different cores.
Yes. It basically gets the system information. And so on this system, there are 8 cores. That way it is allowing me to a maximum of 8 cores. Let me share my entire screen so that you can see.
In terms of, just maybe a different question, in terms of staking to the workers, there's obviously sort of like diminishing returns based on the number of delegates and the amount of vid that you have per worker. Are there going to be built-in controls that you guys are going to put in place, or in terms of like the amount of vid per worker, or any of those sorts of things, or is that going to be strictly based on the commercial relationship between the worker and the delegator?
Yeah, so I think it depends on your relationship with your delegators, right? Like I think because of as when you get more and more work onto your workers, and because you're getting the fiat payments on the public mint blockchain, I think it's up to you guys to. So we don't want to be in the middle. So that's the short answer. We want you and your delegators to figure out what works best for you guys.
Could I amend to that question? I think what maybe Jeremy's alluding to is right now the logic gate is you either allow all delegators on your worker or none. And it's a very binary option. You're not allowed to pick like you said, you're not allowed to establish a bilateral relationship with a delegator. It's either all or nothing.
And that's a big problem, guys. Just so you know, in terms of like commercially, as people look at the network, certainly there's an economic model for being a worker, but you want to also create an economic model in terms of being a staker, having a liquidity pool and then allocating your vid to different workers. There needs to be some controls in place that allow that to occur. It can't be all or nothing. Like all or nothing doesn't work.
Got it. So I think your main concerns are around, like there's somebody showing up with one vid delegated into your pool, and you don't want to deal with the, paperwork that's necessary to make the payments out to a really small delegate. Is that sort of what the problem is?
Well, no. Just in terms of disclosure. So we're looking at potentially offering, sort of a lot of vid, a liquidity pool to the network for workers. And right now, if you're a worker and you turn on delegation, you're going to end up taking vid from anybody. But what happens if that worker only wants to accept vid from one party? There's no ability to differentiate in that way. It's sort of like as Santiago laid it out, it's all or nothing. There needs to be some level of control that the worker has in terms of who they're accepting vid from. They may want to accept it from party A, but they don't want to accept it from party B to N. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I'm just trying to understand the underlying problem, right? Like I get that you only want to selectively accept, but I'm just trying to understand why. Is there a particular reason why you only want to selectively accept?
Well, I mean, as a worker, for example, if I allow one counterparty to stake on my machines, then they're essentially guaranteed whatever the promised fraction, right, as a delegator. So let's say I have 50,000 self-staked and they have 200,000 vid staked on a machine. Per the current arrangement, at least for my workers, it would be the 20% as recommended by the network. If suddenly other delegators are able to hop on that machine permissionless, then now that delegator has to split the return with somebody else that they don't know until the value proposition to them on an individual worker basis goes down, because now they're splitting earnings.
Got it. So I want to say that it's already possible with you can do this selective delegation through the command line tool. It's not a feature it's not built as if it is a selective delegation tool, but all you have to do is in the staking app in your worker profile, right? You switch off accepting delegations there, or switch on briefly. Yeah, why don't you guys do that, right? Like, let's say you have worker set up, and then when you really want somebody to delegate, go to your worker profile and switch on delegations. Okay, and then your selected party will do the delegation, and then switch off delegation, right? Like in the UI, and it's done.
Oh, I see. So by turning on and off the allow delegation, all you're really doing is open a permissions window.
Yeah.
Delegator can delegate, and then you can turn it off. So that doesn't boot them. So if I turn it off again, it doesn't boot them from their existing delegation. It just precludes new delegation. Is that correct?
Yeah. And then also if you switch off delegations, those who have, let's say, by accident delegated onto your network, they can still withdraw. When they try to withdraw, they can see the delegation and then they can withdraw it, no problems.
Oh, that definitely solves the problem. I don't think we were aware that was possible.
Yeah, that's the easiest way for you guys to do it.
Cool,
and let me think through the feature ask further and then see if there is any. So we did debate whether we should allow every transaction to be approved. I think it creates a lot of overhead for certain class of workers. Right? Like let's say they have hundreds of thousands of delegators showing up. Sorry, hundreds of thousands is probably exaggerating. Let's say 100 delegators showing up every day. Now they have to sit and make sure and understand who they are and approve each one of those delegates. So that gets off on the other end of the problem. I think for you guys, because you just need a few delegators approved, I think just, have a window of approved period, let them delegate, and those who accidentally delegate, just, switch off delegations and ask them to take their funds off. Okay, Ram, sorry.
Yeah. That's more or less concludes our demo. Basically, when you are running the worker's output log can be seen on this worker hub window, as well as you can go to the command line and look at Docker statistics, because container is running in a Docker environment. The worker hub is basically grabbing those logs and showing it here.
Yeah, so I just want to take a minute to, again, emphasize the list of things that happened, right? Like here, from start to finish, Ram did not touch the command line even once, right? Like he did not have to do anything outside of the worker up to get the worker up and running. The only thing that Ram didn't do that I did, or that you would do, imagine, is sending VideoCoins into a worker account, using the wallet of your choice. Again, like the reason why we did not bake in like complex hardware wallet functionality and etc. into this is we don't have to do that, because there are other really good apps that you can use. And it's a pretty trivial operation. You just have to send BID and Ether. And as you saw, it took me like a few minutes. And those are the only thing that happens outside of the worker hub, right? And everything else, controlling the amount of cores that you want, finishing doing the stake, the withdrawals, the status of the stakes. So all of this is a lot of complex software that keeps updating, checking the mainnet, making sure that the native blockchains are up to date, giving you all the balances, everything you need in one spot for you to set up a worker with literally a few clicks. I think we're, like I said, we are really proud of this piece of software we shipped, and we really hope you guys enjoy it. And the kind of feedback that we got now is amazing. Please continue doing that. Any feature requests you have, put it on the forums or put it on our forums is the best place because we can go back and refer to it. Put it on the forums, and we'll also try to do these webinars very frequently, so you can give us feedback face to face on what are the things that is like really bothering you on the network. Like, I got a few really good pieces of feedback today. So we'll do this more often and then get more feedback from you guys. And then we're really looking forward for more and more workers to join. And then we'll seriously consider reducing the unbonding period. We'll get back to you on that one as soon as possible. We just need to have an internal discussion and make sure we're not opening up attack vectors that we didn't know in the past. But that's about it. If you have any further questions, we have 5 more minutes. But I hope you guys enjoyed this thing.
I have one question for Ram about, you said you were going to walk through quickly an existing worker that's already been set up.
Yeah. Let's do that. So I'll stop this worker. Okay. Give me a second. So let me see. I'm trying to locate where my other worker is. Okay. So we stopped the worker, and once you go to this staking window, change your wallet setup to point to a different worker. So there are 2 ways. One is I can show you from the starting how you launch a existing worker, or you can change it also. While you are in this window, you can change it. So maybe it takes 5 minutes. Let's go from the starting as though you are trying to use an existing worker from the application. Okay, right? For that, give me a second. I'll clean up this new worker as though I don't have this new worker, so that it will be intuitive. Just give me a few minutes. I'll close this application. and start from the scratch real quick. So I'm clearing some of the state the new worker created, so that as though you are starting afresh on the system, but using an existing worker that was previously created using command line. So let me share my whole screen again, so that now entire screen share. I'm going to the desktop and launching the worker hub, because I cleared everything that new worker created as though you downloaded the application afresh, right? So here, since I already have the ID, I don't need to go and create them. Say I'll continue, but I need to pick up my ID from the existing worker, which I'll try to do. Console or even I can VideoCoin.net. VideoCoin network.
Console's missing the O.
Okay. Okay. So these are Polaris that I was running earlier. I'll take another worker that I was previously running. So go there and pick the client ID of the existing worker and put it there. Continue. And similarly, you can take a Insure ID that you already created earlier. Okay. So now either you can use different client ID or Insure ID or not, doesn't matter. What really matters is the wallet that you are attaching to, right? So basically your client ID decides your worker name and the registration. So I'll set up the wallet. This is where the flow will be different from what you did earlier. Earlier you did create new wallet. So here you have to use existing wallet and say continue. Then the Polaris is one I created earlier. Let me go to a different where is my give me a second. Okay. So this is another worker that was here. This is sensitive. Let me share the application alone because I need to pull in my key for the other worker. Give me a second. No, application. Okay. And okay. To get my secret password for this other worker. This is a long password, that's why I hide the screen. So this is a password for your existing worker. So unlock. So this is a different worker if you look at it. So from this point onwards, the flow is the same for the new worker that I created or the existing worker I pulled. So this is ram.json, so from this point onwards, all the operations are same. Does it explain? Okay. So since it is already bonded, I can start. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you, Ram.
Okay. Okay, Jason, back to you.
I think that concludes our webinar for today. Thank you guys very much for joining. See you on the next one. Bye.